Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to the workshop. It's a certification workshop on intellectual property rights, which is the most underrated thing. I wouldn't say underrated, but people aren't much aware about what is the key benefits and key things that someone could leverage from procuring or securing their intellectual through IPR. IPR types, including patent, copyright, trademarks, and design. So even Professor G.S. Patel has joined. So great to see you all. So I welcome you all in this session. I, along with Ayush, will be the expert for today's session. He is an advocate and patent expert, very well versed with the field, ranging from a very good experience studying from the US and currently practicing inside India, having clients all around the nation. It's amazing to see you, Ayush. Welcome to the team.
Thank you, Malay.
So we'll start with the GUSEC brief. It's a Gujarat University Startup and Entrepreneurship Council, which is a startup incubator as well as startup support system of Gujarat University, which is providing all kind of support to the emerging ideas and innovators who would like to start a startup. Uh, there is a 30,000 square feet of space spreaded across two different premises of GUSEC inside Gujarat University campus. We are also a nodal body to implement all the central as well as startup state government startup schemes. So that means if you would like to take any of the government benefit, government grants, then you could all feel free to reach out to us. Very simple thing. You just get all the details from our website, which is gusec.edu.in. Going forward, there is a one very pressing solution and accelerator program that we are running right now, which is called a breakthrough accelerator. The accelerator is focused around identifying ideas and innovators who would like to put their brains towards the crisis of COVID-19. So all those healthcare experts, healthcare related students, science students who have some innovative ideas to tackle the COVID-19 related any of the situation, they can just visit our website under the breakthrough section. And if you have any idea, do apply. We are currently evaluating every application on a rolling basis, so we are not keeping applicants waiting. So currently the deadline is 7th of May, but you could always apply and we'll get you scrutinized as soon as possible. Furthermore, there will be a Q&A session at the end of the workshop too, but as I discussed with the expert, that we'll be also answering questions from a specific topic that he covers. So you could all the participants, I am requesting, there is a Q&A tab. Put your question answers in questions in that form, and we'll be happy to answer them very soon after he completes any of the topics. Very different thing about this workshop is Mr. Ayush is going to cover almost very thorough part of every intellectual property right data. So we are looking at a very knowledgeable, informative session from the Mr. Ayush, and we would like to take best leverage that what his expertise can offer to all our participants. So the current attendees are 275. It's great to see you all. Uh, the last thing I would say, there is a certificate attached to this program. So I would like to inform all the participants that certificates will be given based on your participation. And though we have a good feature within the Zoom itself, we would like to assess the participation from each panelist, and those attending the 90% of the workshop will be given the certificate of participation of this great workshop. So without wasting a time, I'll pass the e mic to Ayush. So Ayush, thank you.
Thanks, Malay. I am thankful to GUSEC for this opportunity. Um, I'm going to share the presentation right away. Malay, is it visible now? Okay, great. So, friends, first of all, I hope all of you are safe and comfortable at home, and so are your loved ones. Today's session is on basics of intellectual property rights from India standpoint, and there we go. So first, what is intellectual property? Intellectual property is an intangible property. It encourages innovation and creativity. It results from intellectual labor of creative people. The ownership can be established and also transferred, and protection is available to the IP owners by law against unauthorized use by others. The key forms of intellectual property rights that we're going to discuss today are trademarks, copyrights, designs, patents, and trade secrets. This is the annual IP filings data as available on the WIPO website, right from the year 2009 till 2018. 2019 data is still not uploaded. If you can see the last column, in 2018, there were about 30,000 odd patent applications that were filed, about 3,33,000 trademark applications, and 15,200 design applications that were filed in the year 2018. It is not that one product will only contain one form of IP. There is a possibility of multiple forms of IP as part of one single product. This is an example of a Samsung Duos mobile device. If you can see, the main brand is Samsung and the sub brand is Duos, both of which are trademarked. The arrangement of icons that you see on the screen of the phone are covered under trade dress. The outer look shape of the device itself, what you see with your naked eye, is covered under the Designs Act. The specific feature, for example, like a swipe to unlock feature, can be covered under patent if it meets the patentability criteria of novelty, inventive step, and industrial applicability. Also, if there are proprietary tunes which are loaded on the device, or the instruction manual that you receive with the product box, are covered under copyright. So this is one example of multiple forms of IP as part of one single product. To start with, we're going to first take on trademarks. So what is a trademark? Trademark is something which is capable of being graphically represented, which is capable of distinguishing the goods or services of one person from others. In simple words, it's your brand by which the product or service is known as. This is an example of different parts of one single trademark. LG, the letters which were which is a trademark, has a pictorial representation with it called the logo. It has a tagline going with it called "Life's Good," and the entire thing as a whole, that is the pictorial representation, the letters, and the tagline together as a whole, can be considered as a label or a device. Now, this is a chart which shows different types of trademarks with its distinctiveness or its value or the protection available to it from the lowest level to the highest level. I'm going to give you example for each type of trademark. A generic trademark is when you apply for a brand name called shoes for shoes itself. That is a generic trademark. When you apply for a name which is cold and creamy for an ice cream, it is a descriptive trademark because it describes the product. Airbus, the company Airbus for airplanes, is a suggestive trademark because it suggests what the product is about. Apple for personal computers, which has a dictionary meaning but has no connection with the product, is considered as an arbitrary trademark. And when a trademark has no meaning, it is considered as a coined or an invented trademark. The examples of which are Exxon, Pepsi, Kodak, all of these don't have any dictionary meaning, and therefore they are called as coined or invented trademarks. Now, what can be a trademark? The company name or the division name can be a trademark. The name of the product, of course, can be a trademark. The logo, that is the pictorial representation which goes with the name, can be a trademark. The label or the packaging can also be a trademark. And a combination of one or more of these can be considered as a trademark as well. I'm going to run through different examples of what can be considered as trademark. So these are examples of word mark. Nirma, Sony, Kodak, Hyundai, Tata, Reliance are all examples of simple word marks. These are examples of some of the labels that you see. Label, as I said, is a combination of word plus logo. Interestingly, you can also register a sound mark. In India, the first sound mark that was registered was the Yahoo's Yodel, which was registered in the year 2008. Now we're going to compare a few trademarks. These are different labels, but they are similar trademarks. For example, ASTRAL Astral and ESTRAL Astral are phonetically similar, but as a whole, the labels are different. This is an example where the trademarks Amber and Amul are different, but they carry similar labels. Now, this is an example of something which has a similar trademark and also a similar label. The trademark Neela and Nima are similar. Also, if you see the way the two labels look are similar. Now, it is important to understand what is TM or what is R, and when can you write TM and when can you write R. So once you identify a unique trademark and you start using the said trademark in the market, you can start to use TM next to your mark. However, it is not mandatory to use TM next to your mark. Against that, the use of R inside a circle indicates that your trademark is registered and hence should only be mentioned after it is registered and not prior thereto. Writing R inside a circle next to your trademark without registration is an offense which is punishable under the Trademarks Act by both imprisonment and fine. So please don't write R inside a circle if your trademark is still not registered. That is, you have not received the registration certificate. Merely filing an application and receive an application number does not mean that it is registered. Only when you receive the registration certificate is it considered that your trademark is now registered. Now, filing an application for registration of trademark is not mandatory, though it is recommended as it is considered as prima facie proof of ownership. Also, if you have filed an application and obtained registration, in addition to passing off, you can also initiate infringement action against third parties. And also it works as the registration works as beneficial in certain scenarios where if there is a subsequent genuine user, then if you have registration or if you've applied for a mark, that subsequent adopter will consider not adopting a name which is identical or deceptively similar to your mark, but instead consider adopting a mark which is different. Also, if you have registration, it allows the registered proprietor to file a suit where he or she is residing or conducting business. If you don't have registration, the passing of action can only be initiated where the defendant is residing or conducting business. To give you a very simple example, if I have a registration certificate for my product, I can initiate infringement action from Ahmedabad where I am residing or where I am conducting business against somebody who is based in Bangalore and only conducting business in Bangalore. Against that, if I don't have a registration certificate and if I want to file a suit, I will have to file a suit in Bangalore where the defendant is residing or conducting his or her business. Now, there are different search methodologies or steps available, which I recommend each startup or entrepreneur or business owner to conduct before he or she starts using a product or a service name. You can always browse the internet to check whether the name that you intend to use or adopt is already used by somebody or not. Also, just don't do the identical name search. For example, AMUL, Amul is something that you intend to adopt. Please also check if there are phonetically similar names used by others. AMOOL, Amul. If that is used by somebody, please do not use Amul because it is already being used. Although the spelling is different, but phonetically it is still pronounced as Amul. Conduct a market search. Go out, check in your market, do a physical search if possible. If there is any competitor who is selling the product which is similar to yours or identical to yours, with a name which is identical or deceptively similar to your proposed name. Third, you can do a search on the Trademarks Registry's website by identifying the appropriate class, or you can take the assistance of legal experts who can also help you in conducting the search. Once you've conducted the search and you are clear that this name is not being used by anybody, or there is no deceptively similar mark also being used for the same set of product or class in which your product falls under, you can then decide to apply then or wait and start using your mark and then apply later. It is not mandatory, as I said, to file an application as soon as you start using. But yes, conduct the search, make sure that there is nobody who's using a mark which is identical or deceptively similar to yours in the class in which you fall under, and then start using. The Trademarks Registry in India follows the NIS classification to identify the appropriate class for any product or service. There are a total of 45 classes. Almost everything under the sun falls under one of these 45 classes. 1 to 34 are for goods and 35 to 45 are for services. In almost all scenarios, the applicant's right for his or her trademark are reserved in the class in which the application is filed. For example, if I am using a name of a medicine, the said registration is only in class 5 in which pharmaceutical and medicinal products fall under. However, if my mark is considered as a well-known trademark by the registry, your rights are not just restricted in the class in which your product or service falls under, but you have rights in other classes as well. It is the registry's prerogative to decide which mark is considered as a well-known trademark. An application by paying the prescribed fee can be submitted, and then the registry will take a call whether to grant that application or not. Now, once the search is done, once you've identified the appropriate class you want to file an application, the application can be filed with the Trademark Registry under Form TMA. There is a benefit if you file the application online. There's a 10% fee benefit. But if you don't want to file online, you can also file the application physically before the Trademark Registry's office. That is also permissible. Now, let's just quickly go through the details that are included in the application or submitted along with the application. You have to mention the trademark. So the class in which it falls under, the name that you want to apply. If there is a logo, you have to upload the JPEG image of the logo. Give a short description, a one-line description of what your trademark is. If you are claiming that you are already using your mark in the market, then along with the application, you also need to submit something called a user affidavit, which should be franked or should be on a stamp paper and also be notarized before a public notary. Along with the affidavit, you need to put in proof of use of your mark. So supporting documents such as invoices, purchase orders, stationery material, social media data, all of which shows the use of the mark in the market should be submitted as supporting user proof along with the user affidavit. Also, if you are claiming to be a registered startup, that is, if you have a DIPP certificate, then you should submit that certificate because it gives you a benefit of reduced fee. Similarly, if you're claiming to be a small entity, you need to submit a copy of the Udyog Aadhar memorandum, which was earlier known as the MSME certificate. If the application is being filed through an advocate or an advocate's firm, then a general power of attorney, which is signed by the applicant and given to the advocate, is also to be submitted. All of these things are to be submitted with the trademark registry along with the prescribed fee, which I will show you at the end of the presentation. Now, once the application is filed, how does the process work from the first stage, that is search, till registration? So first, as I said, conduct search, identify the class, and check if there is a mark which is already filed, which is identical or deceptively similar to yours. If not, you can file an application before one of the 5 trademark offices. I will share with you the list of all 5 trademark offices almost at the end of the presentation. Once the application is filed, the application is examined by the examiner of trademarks, and something called an examination report is issued. A response to that said examination report is ideally to be filed within 30 days of receipt of the report. If the registry is not satisfied with your written response, a show cause hearing can be scheduled by the registry, wherein it is just the applicant or the applicant's representative who makes the pleading before the registrar or assistant registrar. After the hearing is concluded and the registry is satisfied with your pleadings, the application gets published in the trademark journal. A new trademark journal is issued every week, and once accepted, it stays in the journal for the next 4 months to give third-party opponents to file opposition if they feel that their mark is similar and to yours, and your mark should not proceed towards registration. So there is an opportunity available to them to file opposition if they feel like within that 4-month period. If there is no opposition filed within that 4-month period, then the mark proceeds towards registration. If at all there is opposition filed, then there are pleadings to be concluded, and then a hearing happens, and thereafter, if the registry is satisfied, your mark is considered registered and a registration certificate is issued. As I said, in case of trademark, it is important to use first and register later. You may file your mark with the trademark registry even prior to using the mark in the market by calling it as proposed to be used, but it is not mandatory that you file an application as soon as you've identified the mark. That is an option given to you to test the market if you want to, and only then file an application. So the stages are: identify a unique mark, conduct the search and confirm that your mark is unique and there isn't a similar application filed prior to you in the class in which you fall under. Use it in the market and apply for registration. Malay, if you want to take questions for trademarks at this time, we can.
Yeah, so there are very interesting questions I'm seeing. So Pankaj Sharma, I think he owns some Oxy Plus Gmen Spa services. He is asking, can I get registered for my brand Oxy Plus Plus, which is Gmen Spa service, already available same in the business of canned oxygen selling and trading? Name is same, product, services, place and device is different.
Okay, so if the class in which Mr. Sharma's product falls under is different than the class in which the other application is filed, then yes, he can file an application and seek registration. However, there is a possibility that if the the device or the logo are similar, there can be an issue even though the class are different. So ideally, you should adopt a logo which is not used by anybody, and apply for a trademark which is unique in your class.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. One more question is being asked by Haryali Shah. What
Okay.
is MSME certificate?
Sorry, could you repeat that, Malay?
Haryali is asking what is MSME certificate, for what
Okay.
it is being used.
Micro, small, medium enterprise. So if you are a if you fall under the definition of a micro industry or a small industry or medium scale industry, then MSME certificate is issued. An application can be made online, though in my opinion, the MSME has now been replaced by something called an Udyog Aadhaar, and
Correct.
they are identified in A, B, C as product class and D, E, F as service class. So there is a questionnaire which is available. Uh, you can fill in details with regards to your entity's specific information, and at the end of it, it will be identified whether you fall under the micro industry, small industry, or medium scale industry, either in the product class or the service class. And it is immediately issued. It doesn't take much time. In about 30 minutes, you can make that application and secure the MSME certificate, or the Udyog Aadhaar memorandum, as it is called.
Right. Right. I'll ask two more questions, then we'll jump to the
Sure.
copyright. Shruti is asking what happens when an individual couldn't register his trademark and someone else used the same name or identical name and registers first. What would be the scenario there?
Okay, good question, Shruti. It is, as I said, it is not required that you file the application as soon as you adopt the mark. Whoever starts to use the mark first has better rights. So prior use wins over registration. Giving you an example, if I adopt a mark on 1st January 2010, and I start using that mark in the market, but I don't apply for registration. However, Malay adopts a mark in 2015, which is identical or deceptively similar to my mark in the same class, and immediately files an application, secures registration as well. And Malay sends me a notice saying that here is my registration certificate, stop using this name because it is identical or deceptively similar to mine.
Correct.
Because my use is from 2010, I will have better rights even though Malay has a registration certificate. I hope that answers the question.
Right. Correct. Great. So the last question from Anupam Bhatnagar. He's saying you referred to two identical trademark, but yet different company. How such trademark is differentiated as you referred to Amber and Amul and registered?
So they are not identical trademarks because the name Amber and Amul are different.
Correct.
As a name, Amber is different to Amul. There is no similarity between the two marks. But yes, the packaging, the milk pouch has a similar label, and therefore, if the company which applied for the label first or started using the label first, if they want, they can stop the other subsequent user from using the label which is identical or deceptively similar to them.
Right. So the one who files earlier have that added advantage, the upper hand.
No, actually, who starts using first has the upper hand.
Okay. So not necessarily I am filing first, but if Ayush starts using it first, then I need to take care of Ayush.
Correct. Therefore, I said that because I said that the different set of searches that I shared. So because I have started using but not applied. So when Malay goes to apply, he will not find my mark on the trademark registry's website because I have not made an application. And therefore, I said that it is recommended that a search is carried out on the internet to see if there is a same name already used by somebody, or do a market search. For example, if Amul started using its milk pouch label first and Amber wishes to use a milk pouch label which is similar, had they gone into the market and checked different pouches, probably they might have found Amul's label packaging and then if they were genuine, they would have adopted, or they would have refrained from adopting a similar label.
Okay, 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 perfect, perfect. I'll go with the last question because
Yeah, please,
there is
please.
one
Please.
more is good enough. Manoj is asking, is there any charge for maintaining trademark like patent?
So once your application is registered, so there is an initial fee that needs to be paid at the application stage.
Correct.
And then once your trademark is registered, it is considered valid for a period of 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be renewed. So after 9 years and 6 months of filing of the application, the registry also issues a reminder saying that your mark is due for renewal, and therefore you may renew your mark, or you may on your own file the necessary application currently under TMR and apply for renewal, and it gets further renewed for an additional 10-year period. So yes, at the stage of renewal after 10 years or upon completion of 10 years, there is an additional fee to be paid if you want to continue using your mark for an additional period of 10 years, or if you want to continue your protection for an additional 10 years.
So it could be renewed for as long as I want, but in the 10-year format.
Correct. Earlier it was 7 years. The renewal was 7 years from the date of application, which has now been increased to a 10-year period.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, I'll ask you to jump to copyrights. One more thing, I'll request you if you could jump the languages in English and Hindi, because many of our participants are from a are
Yes,
asking.
I will surely try that.
Thanks, thank you.
Thanks, Malay. All right, friends. So the second form of IP that we're going to talk about is copyrights. So what is copyright? Copyright is a bundle of rights given to creators of literary, dramatic, musical, and artistic works. The copyright gives exclusive rights for a limited time. It protects the expression of idea, but not the idea itself. And again, registration of copyright is not mandatory, as rights are automatically created upon you creating something which is new and unique. For example, if you write a book, at the end of the book, you can write "see inside a circle," the year in which you've written the book, and your name. If you've made a painting, you can finish the painting, put "see inside a circle," put the date or the year, and your name. So it is not mandatory that you make an application for registration of copyright. Although if you do make an application and if you secure registration, it serves as prima facie proof of evidence of ownership. And in case of dispute, when you want to stop somebody from using something which is created by you and is copied by that subsequent person, the registration certificate will be required before the court of law to prove and confirm that you are the owner of that copyright. So again, I'm going to give you different examples of what can be protected under copyright. This J.K. Rowling written book, Harry Potter, is considered as a form of literary work and protected under the Copyrights Act. Any form of musical work, whether it is composition of music or the lyrics or the song recordings, all of those are also protected under the Copyrights Act. The radio and TV broadcasts, the announcement, the lectures, the speeches that are unique, that are new, that are your own, then you can seek copyright registration for that as well. These are some of the examples of the advertisement brochures or hoardings which can also be protected under the Copyrights Act under the artistic work option. These are some of the other examples of artistic works, paintings, sculptures. They are all also protected under the Copyrights Act. Cinematographic films are also protected under the Copyrights Act. Now, who is considered as a rightful owner in case of different forms of or different types of copyright? When it is a case of a literary work or a dramatic work, it is the author who is considered as the owner. In case of musical work, it is the composer. In case of artistic work, it is the artist. Similarly, in case of cinematographic film, it is the producer. In case of computer generated work, it is the person who causes the work to be generated. However, if the work is generated under employment, then even though it is created by the employee, but because that is under the scope of employment, the employer or the company where the employee works will be considered as the rightful owner. Now, like trademark, an application for copyright registry can be filed with the copyright registry under Form 14. Along with the application under Form 14, statement of particulars are to be submitted along with statement of further particulars. Also, along with the application and the covering letter, you need to submit 2 copies of the work that you intend to register under copyright. If the applicant is somebody other than the author, then an authorization from the author is required. If you are getting the application filed through an advocate, then a power of attorney which is duly signed by the applicant and accepted by the attorney also needs to be submitted. And the application needs to be submitted along with the prescribed fee, which again I will share with you at the end of the presentation, what the fees are for different types of copyright. The process for registration, unfortunately, as far as my knowledge goes, there is no search available for copyright to check whether there is already something similar applied for. You can, if you think that your work is unique and new and created by you without copying from anybody, you can make that application for registration of copyright before the office in New Delhi. There is only one office in the entire country for copyright registration, which is in New Delhi. Once the application is filed, there is a mandatory 30-day wait period for objection. Thereafter, the examiner of copyright will scrutinize your application, and if it feels, they might issue something called a discrepancy letter, and then you need to respond to that discrepancy letter. At times there could be a additional discrepancy letter also issued, or the registry may schedule a hearing, and you or your representative may attend to that hearing, and thereafter the application gets approved and a certificate of registration of copyright is issued. Malay, we can again take questions, if any, for copyright.
So I would, before taking any question, I would like to request Ranjana Madam. Ranjana Madam, by the way, Ayush, Ranjana Madam was the head of the Hindi Sahitya department.
Okay.
Gujarat University. She recently retired from her very long tenure from Jio. She was saying that she couldn't. I would like to speak in Hindi. वो ऐसा बता रही थी कि साहित्य विभाग में काम करने वाले पेटेंट का जो बॉक्स आता है, उनका एक कुछ एनुअल फॉर्म आता होगा, वो भर नहीं सकते. सो मैं उनको बताना चाहूंगा कि बिल्कुल अगर आप साहित्य को ध्यान में रखते हैं तो साहित्य को पेटेंट नहीं किया जाएगा, साहित्य को कॉपीराइट किया जाएगा या ट्रेडमार्क. बट उन्होंने अभी कमेंट सेक्शन में फिर भी लिखा कि निवृत्ति के बाद इस दिशा में आगे बढ़ा जा सकता है. सो मैडम, वील बी मोर देन हैप्पी टू असिस्ट यू इफ यू कम अप अक्रॉस एनी आइडिया जो आप लग सकता है कि उसको पेटेंट किया जा सकता है. सो फील फ्री टू आप हमें बता सकते हैं, हम बिल्कुल आपकी मदद करेंगे. सो डॉक्टर रवि कुमार वसावा પૂછ रहे हैं कि સાહિત્યને લગતી કઈ બાબતો કોપીરાઇટમાં લઈ શકાય.
જો તમે કોઈ ચોપડી લખી છે, તમે કોઈ ગીત ગાયું છે, તમારું કોઈ કોમ્પોઝિશન છે, એ દરેક વસ્તુની એપ્લિકેશન થઈ શકે છે રજિસ્ટ્રેશન માટે. અને જો તમારે રજિસ્ટ્રેશન ના કરવું હોય તો બી કોપીરાઇટની અંદર રજિસ્ટ્રેશન મેન્ડેટરી નથી સાહેબ. એટલે તમે તમારી કોઈ બી ફોર્મ ઓફ વર્ક છે જે કોપીરાઇટની અંદર પ્રોટેક્ટ થઈ શકે, પણ તમે એપ્લિકેશન ના કરો તો બી એ ચાલશે. તમે એ વર્કના એન્ડમાં સી ઇનસાઇડ અ સર્કલ લખી અને તારીખ કે વર્ષ લખી અને તમારું નામ લખશો તો બી એ ચાલશે. પણ જો તમારે કોઈક બીજાને રોકવા હોય કે ભાઈ આ મારું કોપી કરી રહ્યો છે અને એની સામે તમે કેસ કરશો તો ત્યારે પ્રૂવ કરવા માટે કે તમે એકચ્યુઅલી આના ઓનર છો તો તમારી પાસે રજિસ્ટ્રેશન સર્ટિફિકેટ હોવું જરૂરી છે.
Okay, perfect. So Vidhi is asking what amendment is required uh, in the scope of fair dealing under section 52 of CR Act.
Okay, I think that's too complex a question to answer in very brief. So
Right.
probably we'll come back to her, or we can reach out to her separately, because there are exceptions given under the act wherein what can be considered as fair use, and but probably that will take a lot of time, and we'll miss out on to answering a few other questions.
Okay. We'll reply through an email.
Sure.
Pallavi Shirsagar is asking, how can a self-written book be registered to copyright?
As I said, madam, as I showed the image of J.K. Rowling's book Harry Potter, you can make an application for registration of copyright as a literary work. Again, it is not mandatory. Once you have written a book which you think is your creation, at the end of the book or the beginning of the book, you can write, see inside a circle, your name and the year. But if you wish to register it, you can file an application with the Copyright Registry in New Delhi as a literary work form, and submit the required documentary evidence, and submit the prescribed fee, and you will get registration certificate for copyright.
Perfect. Okay. Shreyansh is asking, who have the copyright over a book, the writer or the publisher?
Sorry, I was going through a few other questions, and therefore I missed your question.
Okay. Who have the copyright over a book, the writer or the publisher?
The person who's written the book will be the first owner of the work.
Okay. How can I register a copyright for a rough idea, plot, script of a film or a story?
Again, if you think that your work is unique, you can file an application under the literary work and submit your script with the registry and secure registration.
Okay. So professor from GEC Patan, Dr. Hitesh Panchal is asking, how can I find the copyright laws of various countries? Is there any specific database or repository where there is all the copyright laws of various countries?
Unfortunately, no. There isn't one single portal where you may find. I think the WIPO website might have some information, but genuinely speaking, sir, I am not 100% sure. So I cannot say it by complete authority, but I think you'll have to specifically search for each country's copyright act separately.
Okay. So Haryali have another question. Copyright has to be renewed yearly or monthly. So how does it renew?
Okay, so copyright can, my knowledge says that copyright cannot be renewed, but the duration of copyright is pretty long. So if, for example, if it is a book that I have written, the copyright in that book will be valid for a period of my entire lifespan plus 60 years after my death. So that is that longer period of copyright registration, and therefore if I have written the book and I am no longer alive and I still get protection for the next 60 years, I think that is long enough a period for having the registration. So there is no renewal option under copyright like for trademark.
Okay. So there is a professor from chemistry department, Dr. Hitesh Parekh. He's saying, I have a wonderful lead for research. Can I apply for patent prior art to start a work? So I would like to answer that.
Please go ahead.
So Professor Parekh, GUSEC have specific IPR cell which handles all the queries from GU students, faculties, and the startup. So you could send us an email on ipr@gusec.edu.in, which is ipr@gusec.edu.in, with your brief information about work. We'd like to assess and guide you further and even possibly we would like to financially support your application in filing the patent. So the next question, Ayush, for you is from Shikha. Shikha is asking from a curiosity standpoint, not from a startup perspective. There are some quotes and speeches which are associated as a remarkable work from the speaker. Are those copyrighted? Can they sue other for use of unauthorized use of a quote?
Yes, if they feel that it was their unique work, and if they think that it is copied by somebody, they do have the right. But I think it will be very difficult to actually initiate action for smaller courts. I mean, how many actions will you initiate? Against whom will you go out? I believe they will pick and choose against whom they will initiate action. If it is a competitor that they feel is trying to take undue advantage of it, then yes, they can, provided they are able to show that they have registration and they were the first user of it.
Okay, okay. Uh, Anonymous is asking, what is the life of copyright period?
As I said, it varies. It is about 60 years, or if it is an individual work of an author, then the life of the author plus 60 years. Otherwise, it is 60 years.
Okay, okay. Shreya has a question. I can copy a small portion of text from a copyright protected work to my thesis without permission, as long as I cite the resource. Is that correct?
So again, so there are two things to it. One is qualitative copying and quantitative copying. So at times, even if a short portion is taken, but it is the crux of the work from which it is copied, then that small portion can also be considered as infringement if the other party so decides to initiate action. At times, it goes about, it is not not just the quality but the quantity. So at times it is that even if you've written copied 10 pages, but that 10 pages are generic plot, then it might not amount to infringement. So it depends about what is the quality of work that is copied and how much quantity is copied. And yes, if they want to, so just by, again, this is my personal opinion, I might be wrong at it, but my personal opinion is just by citing a work, you are in a better position, because you are not saying that this is your work, but you have given due credit to the person. But if that person so feels that you did not ask me, had you asked me, I would have given you that permission, and without asking that permission, having used, I am not okay with it, and therefore an action can be initiated. But again, this is my personal view, I might be wrong on this.
Okay, okay, fair enough. I'll ask the last question, then
Sure.
move on. Riddhi is asking, Amul is working on an artistic work on any situation or a person. Does that fall into any copyright issue?
So they are claiming it to be a creative work, and their creative work is with a message, and therefore what work they are creating is unique to themselves, and therefore I don't foresee any issue with regards to infringement.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay.
Because probably they are taking some factual scenario or some scenario which has just happened, so recent factual event. So I cannot have exclusive rights to saying that India won against Pakistan yesterday, and I create a logo because, or Amul has created a holding where they show Virat Kohli who has hit a century in a funny way, or acknowledging that nobody has rights over that. That is just a factual event that has happened and they are portraying it. So I don't foresee a problem on that front.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Considering time, we are limiting certain question after each topic. So please post your question in the Q&A box, not in the Zoom webinar chat. We'll try to cover as much as possible until the time limits. I'll ask the expert to move ahead with the design part.
Great. All right. So the next topic of IP that we're going to cover today is designs. So what constitutes design as form of IP? An ornamental or aesthetic aspect of an article which can be judged by visual appearance. In simple words, what you see with your naked eye is covered under the Designs Act. Design may consist of three-dimensional features such as the shape or the surface of an article, or two-dimensional features such as patterns, lines, or color. Designs are applied to a wide variety of product of industry and handicraft items, from packaging to containers to furnishing to and household goods, from lighting equipments to jewelry, and from electronic devices to textiles. The design registration requirements are that the design that you have created is new and original, and the requirement for design is that it is not just new or original in India, but it has worldwide novelty, and that design should not be previously used or published in any country before the date of your application for registration. Also, the design should not include any trademark or artistic work which are defined under the Copyrights Act. These are some of the examples of design: a diamond ring designed by Tara Jules, a bike designed by Mr. M.K. Mohanan, a water bottle designed by Mr. Satish Kumar, a phone handset by Nokia, two different type of shoes, both of which are different to one another. So these are all different forms or examples of design. This is what you see with your naked eye and how you can differentiate your product or your article from somebody else. If it is different, then yes, you can protect it under the Designs Act. As far as the design registration is concerned, we go by the third schedule of the Designs Rules of 2001 for its classification, which is mainly based on the international classification system for industrial design known as the Locarno classification. Like trademarks, where we follow the NIST classification, for designs, India follows the Locarno classification. There are 32 main classes under which articles of design fall under, and almost each of those classes have multiple subclasses as well. So this is a quick overview of different classes. So class 1 is foodstuff, 2 is articles of clothing, 3 is travel goods, 4 is brushware, 5 is textile. So these are the different class heads under which different forms of design fall under, of which we've taken one sub classification. For example, class 1, which is foodstuffs. In their class 1, subclass 1 includes baker products, subclass 2 includes fruits and vegetables, subclass 3 includes cheese, butter, 6 includes animal foodstuffs. If you think that your product does not fall under any of these defined subclasses, you may file it under the miscellaneous class, which is subclass 99. Trademark, the design search is available. It is published in the official journal by the Indian Patent Registry, wherein part 1 is for patent and part 2 of the journal covers designs. You may also make necessary application with the Patent Registry's design wing, which is in Kolkata, by paying the prescribed fee, where you can inspect a design. If you know the application number, you can file Form 6. If you know the article specimen in which it is filed, under Form 7. Also, there is an online search available, provided you know the application number, and you can check whether that design and your design are similar or different. For application of design, there is a form under which the application is to be filed, which is Form 1. The application requires the necessary details of the applicant, different drawings or from different angles of the article that you wish to protect under the Designs Act are to be submitted. For example, front view, side view, top view. There are different perspective views which are also to be submitted. There is a specific design size that is provided, and you should ideally submit in that design form only. Otherwise, there could be an objection or a query from the registry to provide in that size. Also, a specific margin needs to be left on all sides to ensure that it is easy to view. All of this is when you're submitting a physical application. Online application can also be submitted now. Uh, Almost all registries have now adopted the online format very well, and you may also submit your design application online. You have to also provide a detailed description of what you are trying to protect. What is the statement of novelty as to how your design is novel from the other design. You have to provide a disclaimer that you are not seeking any rights of trademark, and you have to provide a disclaimer that you are not seeking registration of the mechanical process, because as I said, design only protects the look of the article, what you see with your naked eye, and not how that product works. Again, this application needs to be submitted with the design registry in Kolkata with the prescribed fee as provided under the Schedule 1. The process is, if you can and if you are able to, then conduct search to make sure that your design is not already used by somebody, not applied by somebody. Submit the application before the design registry in Kolkata. If there is any objection, you will receive a communication from the design registry. The said objections can be removed within a prescribed time period by submitting the necessary response. The registry may re-examine and ask you to comply with additional objections, if any. After that, there will be a notification and certification will be issued. There is a possibility of confusion between design and copyright, and therefore I've tried to cover a few important aspects as to how design is different from copyright. So as I said, design only deals with the outer appearance of the product, whereas copyright deals with artistic work and the creation. Design is only restricted to articles, whereas copyright is not restricted to goods. Registration is required to claim protection, whereas copyright in a way is automatic, but if you want to initiate action against third party saying that they are infringing, then a registration of copyright will be required. Under the Designs Act, the requirement are novelty and originality, whereas copyright requires originality. Again, Malay, we can take up questions for design if you have received any.
Sure. So, what is the term of design protection? Is there any renewability?
Right. So I have a chart at the end of it for all forms of IP, but to answer this question, registration is for 10 years from application, and it permits an additional protection for a 5-year period upon completion of that 10-year period. So it is 10 plus 5.
Okay.
But upon the completion of the 10-year period, a renewal application will have to be filed and it will be considered and then further renewed for a short period of 5 years.
Right. Right. Okay. Akshay is asking, how much time does it take to design registration process?
Okay, so also for that, I have a table which shows each form of IP and the time taken. But to answer his question, my experience in 2019 and 20 has been that upon filing of the application, in about 6 months to 10 months, depending upon if there is any objection, if there is any discrepancy received by the applicant from the registry, in about 6 to 10 months, there is a good possibility of the design application being registered.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Nisarg is asking, can logos be protected under design? I think no. They fall into trademark, right?
Correct. So as I said, Nisarg, ideally, in most cases, is what you see with your naked eye. For example, this glass, how it looks from another glass is different, and therefore that what you see with your naked eye gets protected under the Designs Act.
Okay. So Anonymous is asking difference between design and copyright, as both of them protect the art. So what is the difference?
Correct. As I said, design protects what you see with your naked eye. So how the shape of the product looks is covered under the Designs Act. But also there is a classification which says that after you make more than 50 products of one article, then it gets protected only under copyright and not design.
Okay. Okay. Akshay is asking, if my product is round, someone else makes it hexagonal in appearance. So will I be able to enforce legal infringement of?
Under Designs Act, no, because design only protects how one product looks. So if your product is round and the others is hexagonal, then under the Designs Act, they are completely different.
Okay.
So there could be other forms of IP that, if, for example, what your product is doing and what their product is doing, and if you have necessary patent registration, for example, provided that it meets the patentability criteria, and you have the patent registration, then you may stop it. But if your question is restricted only to the look of the article, then by changing it from round to hexagonal, my opinion is that you will not be able to restrict them.
Okay. Okay. Riddhi is asking what condition must be met to obtain industrial design protection?
Novelty and originality are two things that are required mainly, and so if you have novelty and if you have originality, that means that nobody else in the world has applied for or used a product which is identical, an article which is identical to yours, and if that is met with, then sure, you can apply for it.
Okay.
Just Malay, a quick example. We had filed an application on behalf of one of our clients for a product which was kind of a scissor, and we did not know that this is being used by somebody else. We were the applicant was pretty sure that it wasn't being used by anybody. To my surprise, when we received the examination report, we were provided a link of an almost identical design being used by somebody in Russia. So the examiner, I must admire and acknowledge that examiner, that they not only check similar designs that are filed in India, but they actually make that effort so that to see if there is a design, similar design or an identical design used outside of India as well. They sent me a link which is something similar to what we have here called Amazon or eBay. They sent me a link for the Russian so-called model of eBay, saying that, look, this product is on sale in Russia on eBay, and therefore it is already being used, and therefore you cannot get registration. I was fascinated to see that that effort is being taken from the examiner's end as well.
Right. So I believe every IP, if we would like to protect and register in a formal way, the best thing that could happen before the filing is the prior art search.
So different forms of search, but unfortunately, as I said, copyright, there is, at least to my knowledge, there is no search option available. So even if you want to search that whether this work is applied by somebody, that search, I might be wrong on this, there could be some amendment and that option could be available, but my limited knowledge says that that option is not available. But yes, as far as trademark is concerned or patent is concerned, of course, the first step is to do a search to ensure that before filing, whether, or before using, whether there is somebody who is using something which is identical or similar to yours.
Okay. So very interesting question coming from Japan. He is asking, is Rubik's Cube an example of design or copyright?
For the first 50 reproductions, it is under design, but then once you make more than 50 copies, under copyright.
Okay. The next question I'm coming up, it's I'm being asked so many questions, same question so many times. Is software patented or copyrighted? So
okay, so the code, the language of the code that you write, so the physical code that you have written, you may protect it as a computer program under literary work with the copyright registry. But the functionality, if you are claiming that this code gives me a specific result, right, and which meets the patentability criteria, then it can be protected under the Patent Act. So just the writing of the code written in a certain manner is protected under literary work as a computer program with the copyright registry. But the end result, what that code provides, in my opinion, will be protected under the Patents Act.
Right. Okay. Okay. So the next question I am going to ask is in line with the other three topics too. Does design right acquired in India is also applicable in world? So I think it's not, because the Indian Patent Office is limited to Indian boundaries.
Correct. So all forms of IP, it is, so this is probably, there is a myth or unfortunate understanding that one single application gives global protection. It is not the case. All rights in a way are territorial. So your registration for a form of IP is only restricted in the country where you apply. So for example, if you file a trademark application in India before the trademark registry, your rights are protected only in India. If you want to protect the same trademark in the US, you will have to file a separate application before the USPTO for registration of the said trademark. But while filing the application, if you have a prior application or a registration in your home country, for example, before the USPTO, there is an option where you can select and state that here is the copy of the registration certificate which you already have in your home country, which might give you some better rights, but does not mean that your application in one country automatically gives you right in the other country as well.
Right, right, right. What is the આ ક્વેશ્ચન પણ સેમ મને ઘણી બધી વખત ચર્ચામાં આવ્યો છે કે એક જ પ્રોડક્ટ હોય એની પેટન્ટ થયેલી હોય તો ડિઝાઇન થઈ શકે, ઓર અધરવાઇઝ ડિઝાઇન થઈ હોય તો પેટન્ટ થઈ શકે?
So it depends on what you are trying to protect. If you are only trying to protect how the product looks, then your application will be only under the Designs Act as a design registration. But if you are trying to protect the product as a whole with its features and its benefits and the process, then it will be filed under the Patents Act.
Right. Okay. Okay. My personal question before I ask the next.
Yes, please.
Is there anything like design patent?
There is something called a design patent, but there is, again, I'll have to say that I will get in touch with you in detail and we'll talk more about it on the side, because it will take up a lot of time if we get into the details.
Okay, okay. So the question was, what is the difference between industrial design and design patent?
So again, industrial design under the Designs Act is only how your product looks to the naked eye, with no mechanical process, nothing involved in it.
Okay, okay, okay. So there were a lot of questions related to patents. I request all the attendees that we'll be answering those once the patent part is over. So even you will be able to get much more info once the patent part is over. So before I move forward, Ranjana madam commented, बहुत रोचक और जानकारी सभर चर्चा चल रही है.
Thank you, ma'am.
And the participant, that was the whole motive to do this workshop. And considering this situation and the medium we are using right now, it's much more convenient for all of us, the organizers, speakers and the attendees, के हम अपने घर में बैठ के ही 300-400 लोग एक साथ एक चीज पर बात कर रहे हैं.
Correct. And Malay, good thing is we must acknowledge this, that all forms of IP can now be filed through the online medium. So even during the lockdown, if somebody wants to file an application for registration, that application can still be filed online. So that advantage can be taken by applicants if they feel that they have created during this time. We've seen that a lot of new innovations are happening and somebody wants to protect that, it can be done by filing an online application, no matter which form of IP it is.
Right, absolutely. I think the government is doing a great job in line with the support to the infected patients and positive cases. There are a certain whole different government machinery working towards making sure that whatever kind of processes the government, the economy needs to be thrived. So there are certain efforts being taken by the government in those directions too. So I think that's much more appreciable.
Correct.
So Okay, we'll move to the final patent part. Ayush,
Sure.
you can go.
So again, like I've discussed each form of IP, we'll also talk about what is patent and what can be protected under the Patents Act. The patent is a form of right which is granted to the inventor, giving him or her the right to exclude others from making, using, selling, and importing an invention for a limited period of time in exchange for a comprehensive disclosure of the invention by filing the necessary patent application. So, patent gives the inventor a monopoly for a period of 20 years from the date of application once it is granted. So, it is very important to know that your rights in all forms of IP accrue when the registration is granted and not when the application is made. Merely making an application does not give you any right. It is only upon the registry issuing the certificate of registration can it be considered that your rights are now granted to you and you can now initiate appropriate action for infringement of the said right granted to you. Patent has three main criteria which need to be met. Only then the registry will grant the patent. They are novelty, non-obviousness, and industrial application. The novelty requirement is that the invention should have worldwide novelty. Non-obviousness requirement says that your invention must not be obvious to a person skilled in the specific domain. So it is required that the person from that industry should feel that this is not an obvious invention. There is something different that has been developed by the inventor. And of course, there has to be some sort of utility or usefulness in the market. Both the product and the process can be patented. Unlike the other forms of IP, patent examination is conducted by the examiner only upon making necessary request under the appropriate form and paying the prescribed fee. There are both pre-grant and post-grant opposition. In most cases, the publication of the application will happen only after 18 months of filing the complete specification, although there is an option available to file for early publication by filing the appropriate form and on payment of the prescribed fee. I have tried to give you some examples of patent. As you know, there have been mousetraps which have been in the market since many years. Through this application filed in the US, the inventor has tried to fill in a few gaps. For example, one where there is a possibility that at times your finger gets stuck when you try to set or move the trap. Also, there have been instances where the animal is able to remove the bait by careful action without causing the trap to do what it is required to do. And therefore, this is an invention which the inventor claims that it fills that gap. The second example is also of a US patent where for paper clips, actually speaking, as you all know, paperclip is just a piece of wire bent into a certain shape. And paperclips were invented in late 1800s and have been since used in numerous ways. Whereas it is interesting to note that there are different forms of paperclip designs which have been filed to show that their end result is different from the other, and therefore it can be protected. Some have more turns, others use different materials, some have different elasticity to show that they are a different form of paperclip and thus registered as a design patent. There was in 2008 a patent filed for a tennis ball. If I am not wrong and if I have understood this patent correctly, very nicely what the inventor has done is by increasing the shape, by increasing the size and weight of the ball, they've tried to file a new application and they have claimed that young kids or old age people while playing tennis, if with the existing size and the shape of the ball, it comes very fast. But when you increase the size of the ball and also the weight of the ball will travel slower, and therefore due to the slowness it will be easy for the old person or a young kid to view the ball. And because of that, also catch hold of the ball. So the weight and the size, the increase in the weight and the size helps in seeing the ball easily, and also because of the increase in weight, the travel speed also reduces. We get a lot of questions, and I believe that this might also be a question that some of the attendees might have, whether a software can be patented in India. Now, I am not a registered patent attorney, but my reading of the subject says that India does not permit protection of software per se. However, when the software is connected to a proprietary hardware, then an application can be filed for the entire thing as a whole and can be patented. An example is a mobile application like Facebook, which can be downloaded on any smartphone, cannot be patented in India. But an example like a game of Tetris, which can only be played on a specific Game Boy and it is preloaded on that specific Game Boy, then the combination of the software and the proprietary hardware can be patented. As I said, India does not permit software patent. However, US does permit patenting the software per se, of course, provided it meets the patentability criteria. There is something called PCT application, which I will try to explain. An application for registration of a patent has to be first filed in the home country where you want to seek register, where the applicant or the inventor is based in, unless you have sought prior written permission from the patent registry by filing appropriate form. For example, if you want to file for a software per se which cannot be protected in India, you may submit the necessary application to the registry giving that explanation. The registry will consider that and permit you to file that application outside of India directly. Otherwise, all other forms will have to be first applied in the home country. India is a signatory to the Patent Cooperative Treaty, and therefore your patent application or your invention can be protected in other countries, provided that you file the PCT application in the prescribed format and by paying the fees within the 12-month window of the application to protect that invention in other countries. Of course, there will be a separate PC examination that will happen, and there will be a national phase of each of those countries wherein they will examine the application and consider whether to grant that patent or not. But that option is available to the inventor or the applicant. There are two stages of patent. You may directly file for complete specification or file it later. So if your application is completely ready, then you may directly file for the complete specification. However, there is an option given to the applicant that if the applicant is still in the process of developing the invention but wants to protect the priority date, then a provisional application can be first filed, wherein you can secure your priority date, and thereafter within the 12-month period the applicant can file the complete specification. However, if the complete specification is not submitted within the 12-month period, then the provisional application will be abandoned. Now, what is a provisional application as compared to a complete specification? So, and what does it contain? So, provisional specification or a provisional application should ideally contain the title and description of the invention, and should always start with the preamble: the following specification describes the invention. As I said, the claims should not be included in the provisional application, since the purpose of the provisional application is not to claim any legal right, but to only obtain the priority date for the said invention. Similarly, what goes into or what is included in the complete specification, then to answer that, the complete specification is a techno-legal document which fully describes the invention and also the best method of performing it. It includes the claims as to what you are trying to protect in the specification. It also includes an abstract, which is a short summary which has to be provided within 150 words or less, and it is separately attached to the complete specification. Also, ideally, you should submit drawings that refer your invention, and it becomes easy for the examiner to understand your invention better. The process up to registration, like for trademark, there is a prior art search option available, wherein you can check whether the invention that you wish to protect is used by somebody else by filing an application prior to you. Unlike trademark, patent requires you to have worldwide novelty, as we discussed in the requirements or the criteria of patentability. So if there is already an application filed in US prior to you, and you are claiming that my invention is only for India and I do not wish to go to US, nor the company which is applied for in the US is in India or has any intention to come to India, still you will not be able to secure registration if the invention is already applied for in a different country. There are 4 different patent offices where application can be filed. It is divided by the states. Application from Gujarat will go before the registry in Mumbai. As I said, the publication happens after 18 months, provided an application for examination is, the publication happens after 18 months. But there is an option available for early publication if the applicant so desires. There is, after that publication, there will be a pre-grant opposition or a representation, and it can be attended to by you or your representative. There will be then a request for examination, which will have to be responded to. Then there will be a grant or a refusal, after which there will be a publication of grant of patent. There will then be a post-grant opposition, and then there will be a final decision by the controller of patents. Again, Malay, we can now take in some questions.
So there are good enough questions.
Okay.
First one I would like to answer. Chirag is asking, your government give any funding or help of IPR? So yes, there is a specific IPR cell in the GUSEC itself, as well as under the banner of Startup India. There are a list of patent attorneys who help the startups to file their patents in a concessional fees. So yes, you could always explore those options. If you'd like to get more detail, you can just email us about what kind of patent you would like to file on the ipr@gusec.edu.in. So the question, Ayush, for you is, if PCT rejects our patent, then it will be rejected in home country or not?
So it will depend on what is the reason for refusal, wherein if the rejection is on the patentability aspect, I am of the opinion that the Indian Patent Registry might also have the same question, if that is the home country. But if the question is that if that issue is not raised by the Indian Patent Registry, then I don't foresee any issue as far as the home country application is concerned. But yes, it will be the case other way around. If your home country application gets rejected, then of course it will have a bearing on the PCT application.
Okay, right. Next question is from Vaibhav. Vaibhav is asking, does India have similar patents like the USA, for instance, utility patents?
Yes, so India permits registration of product patent and process patent. Again, I am not a patent agent, and therefore my knowledge on this subject is slightly limited. But I believe there are certain additional features or advantages that the US offers. For example, software patenting, which India does not offer.
Okay, okay. Uh, Aryavrat Singh is asking, if I make a second version of my patented product, I have to file for the second patent for the second version?
So it depends if your invention is detailed, the inventive step, the newer version has a lot of changes from the previous patent that has been filed, then you may apply for a separate patent. But if you think that it is in almost in line to the previous, there is an option for an additional patent which I believe can be filed.
Right, right, right. Uh, so Prashant is asking, can the patent be sold?
Good question, Prashant. There are two options for all forms of IP, in my opinion. An IP can be licensed or it can be transferred by way of an assignment. So when you are licensing a form of IP, the first applicant continues to be the owner, and a permission is given to the licensee to use that form of IP. However, when an application for assignment is made and the IP is transferred, you no longer continue to be the owner, and the subsequent transferee or the assignee becomes the owner of the work. So yes, there is an option to sell by finding out the true value of your invention or your IP, and then of course it can be sold. The registries have an option to inform them when such an assignment takes place so that they can update their records as well.
Right, right. Okay. Rishik Soni has multiple questions, so we would like to answer them all, but in a brief. Uh, Throw some light on TRIPS and WIPO.
Okay. So WIPO is an international body which overlooks the IP in different countries. If, for example, you have filed an application for a trademark in India and you want to register the said trademark in 20 other countries, there are two options available to you. Either you file separate 20 applications before each of those countries, or under on the WIPO's website, there is an option available to you wherein you can select the countries provided they are signatories to that protocol, and you can select those 20 countries, provide details of your trademark, provide details of your home country application or registration, and apply that same mark in 20 countries through the WIPO portal itself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So there is that benefit available to inventors or applicants where they want to protect it through that portal. But more or less, both the WIPO and TRIPS, where we are signatory, they are kind of an international body for benefit of applicants from different parts of the world.
Okay, okay. So Vansh is asking, are utility models and trade secrets alternative to patent protection?
Sorry, come back again.
Are utility models and trade secrets alternative to patent protection?
Okay, so trade secret is the topic that we're going to talk about now. So the difference is, when you disclose that information before the patent registry for registration, it will be considered and granted a patent. But the core strength of a trade secret is that it is not disclosed to anybody outside, and therefore there is no right granted to you. Because in order for you to receive some registration or for you to receive some rights, the primary requirement is that you disclose what you are trying to protect. In case of a trade secret, the core idea is that you don't want to disclose that, and you want to keep it secret to yourself, and therefore there is no registration for it. But there could be a separate value. I'm going to give you an example of Coca-Cola, wherein in this coming slides, where their main recipe has not been disclosed, and there is no patent granted to them. Therefore, they are not able to license that out to others by seeking royalty under as a patent license. But their trade secret is that they don't want others to know about it and copy that, and therefore they have not disclosed it. Probably it started as, again, this is again my opinion, but probably the initial idea was to create some marketing inquisitiveness, or wanted people to talk about it, and therefore it was initially not disclosed by way of a patent application. But then it garnered so much attention that they decided not to apply for it at all, and only a limited number of employees are aware of it, and who are aware of it is also not known to outsiders.
Right, right. I think we'll move ahead with the next portion,
Sure.
considering the
Sure.
time. Then we'll go for the more questions once this part is over.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So, as I said, a trade secret is any practice of a company that is generally not known outside of the company. So it is kept confidential, it is kept secret, and therefore it is a trade secret. As I just a couple of minutes back said, instead of using patent legislation to protect its business interest, at times the companies opt for trade secret protection and decide to keep the formula or that novelty as a secret to safeguard its advantage over other competitors. Now, what constitutes a trade secret? Sales methodologies that a company has, which it does not want to disclose to others, for which it is gaining some commercial benefit, is protected under sales under trade secret. A unique formula or recipe can also be a trade secret. Distribution method which they follow, which they think is garnering them a lot of benefit, also can be considered as a trade secret. Consumer profiles, advertising strategies, their list of suppliers and clients, manufacturing process, all of these are forms of trade secret. Each one has different uh, percentage of benefit attached to it, but yes, all of these can be considered as trade secret. The best example, as I was just talking about, Coca-Cola company's formula for their Coca-Cola syrup, which bottlers combine with the carbonated water to create their flagship drink, is a closely guarded trade secret. The company founder initiated the wheel of secrecy that surrounds the formula way back in the year 1891. As I said, it could have been a publicity or a marketing or an IP protection strategy. We don't know what exactly it was, but since then it has continued to be a trade secret for the company. There have been several recipes, all claiming to be the authentic formula, which have been published. However, the company till date maintains that the actual formula remains a secret, and it is known to a very select few employees, again, who are anonymous. Okay. Malay, I'm going to quickly run through a few more slides before we take up questions.
Sure.
Probably that will give some information or some answers to our attendees, and therefore we might be able to avoid some questions.
Sure, sure, please.
So, as I had said earlier, that there are different offices for IP registration for different forms of IP. For example, for trademark, there are 5 offices in India. Mumbai Registry, which is the head office, New Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, and Ahmedabad. And if the applicant is from the state of Gujarat or Rajasthan, the application gets filed before the Ahmedabad Trademark Registry. As far as copyright is concerned, there is only one copyright office or copyright registry, which is in New Delhi. Similarly, for design, the design wing is in Kolkata. For patent, the registries are in Mumbai, New Delhi, Kolkata, and Chennai. And if the applicant is from Gujarat, the application gets filed before the Mumbai Patent Registry. I've tried to list out the applicable government fees as charged by the registry, along with the validity of each of the forms of IP that we've discussed. So the government fee for trademarks is 4,500 if an online application is filed, and 5,000 if physical application is filed by an applicant who is filing in his individual name or through his or her proprietorship concern, or if the applicant is claiming to be a small entity wherein it has submitted the necessary MSME or Udyog Aadhar memorandum, and if the applicant is claiming to be a startup and has the necessary DIPP certificate. Then in all those scenarios, it will be 4,500 for online filing and 5,000 for physical filing. But for all others, in case of online filing, it will be 9,000. In case of hard copy filing or physical filing, it will be 10,000. As far as copyright is concerned, the fees vary from 500 to 2,000 depending upon the type of invention that you want to protect. Under the Designs Act, again, if you are an individual applicant or a proprietorship concern, the fee charged by the design registry is rupees 1,000. If you are a small entity or a startup, then it is 2,000, and for all others, it is 4,000 rupees. Similarly, for patents, it is 1,600 for individuals, 4,000 for small entities, and 8,000 for others. The validity of each of the forms of IP is first trademark. It is initially valid for a period of 10 years from the date of application. However, it can be renewed for multiple 10-year periods depending on the requirement or interest of the applicant, and provided necessary application for renewal along with the prescribed fees submitted. Copyright in most cases is 60 years from the date of application, or if it is by an individual, then it is 60 years. The 60-year period is counted from the date of the author. In case of design, it is for 10 years from the date of application and can be further renewed for only one additional 5-year period. As far as patent is concerned, it gives you monopoly rights for a period of 20 years from the date of application, but cannot be renewed thereafter. We received some questions with regards to the timeline for registration. Again, this is from my past experience. The time taken by each of the registries for granting registration. In case of trademark, from the date of application to registration, it takes between, if there is no objection from the registry, then we started receiving certificates within about 6 to 8 months from the date of application. If there has been a show cause hearing with the registry, then about 15 months time we receive the certificate. But upon publication in the journal, if there is any third party opposition, it takes a few years, unfortunately, because there is a backlog with the registry. They have started clearing the backlog, and the speed has increased, but still I think it takes a few years for you to receive registration if your application is opposed by any third party when published in the journal. Design registration from date of application to registration. Again, if there is no objection from the registry, we've received certificates in about 6 months as well. If there has been any objection and which have been timely responded to, then in about 10 months also we've received certificates. Copyright, surprisingly, we've received some registrations in a short period of 4 months as well. And even with objection, if we've responded immediately or very quickly, we've received certificates within 6 months as well. Unlike all of these other forms of IP, patent usually takes at least 4 years and at times even longer, depending upon the timely filing of the documents, the examination, the appointment of examiner, the examiner viewing it, issuing the examination report. But yes, that's a long process. When I said that, there are, if you are a registered startup and if you have the DIPP certificate, there are certain benefits available. And therefore, I would strongly suggest that if you fall in the category and if you are eligible for being registered as a startup, then you should apply for and obtain the DIPP certificate, due to its multiple benefits. This was initiated in the year 2016 by the government of India under its flagship initiative, the Startup India program. That was to build a strong ecosystem for nurturing innovation and also to helping and facilitating benefits to startups in our country. As I was saying, there are different benefits of having the DIPP certificate. The process simplification is there. There's a lot of handholding from different departments of the government and also various authorities present at the local level. There is a lot of funding support and incentives that are available. And as far as IP application is concerned, if an entity has a DIPP certificate with itself and it approaches an advocate or an advocate firm which is also registered as an IP facilitator for the said form of IP with the trademark registry or the patent registry, then the government fee is all that the applicant has to pay, and the entire professional fee is paid to the advocate or the advocate firm by the registry, which is provided to it by the ministry. Now, I would like to just share a few interesting snippets with regards to different forms of IP. There is an estimate which puts the McDonald trademark value to be above US dollar 21.86 billion. So we get a lot of questions that sir, ये application हम करवाते हैं पर उसका benefit क्या? So this is one example where the value of McDonald's trademark is 21.86 billion US dollars. As I was talking about the trade secret, Coca-Cola's formulation is known as Merchandise 7X, and which is placed in physical format in an Atlanta bank locker and has been protected over the past 122 years. Mercedes, the car company, has 340 design registrations till date. Interestingly, the pharma companies happen to spend an approximate $800 million for developing a medicine, including its research and development cost, legal approvals, marketing cost, all of that. But the average cost, which I've been made to understand, is about 800 million US dollars. And unfortunately, India is hampered by a lot of piracy issues, especially our entertainment industry. And because of which the annual loss to our entertainment industry is about 4 billion US dollars. And it affects no less than 8 lakh jobs annually. To sum it all up, these are some of the things which each one of you should keep in mind. And remember that you should always try to create your own intellectual property. As and when possible and required, protect it by way of filing the appropriate application for registration. When possible or where applicable, maintain that registration by filing timely renewals, which is available in trademarks and design. You should always be aware of and protect your IP from imitation, and try and restrict others from copying your work. And because it is not just that they will benefit, but your goodwill might also be affected if it is not used properly by that imitator. And you should always keep appropriate documents of your use of your IP as evidence. so that if in future you want to initiate some action against some third party, or an action is initiated against you, you are able to show that or use that as proof of your use since so and so date. Also, when you are disclosing something which is confidential in nature to a third party, my suggestion is please make sure that you have necessary documentation in place which are signed. For example, a confidentiality agreement or a non-disclosure agreement. And it is not just merely a verbal assurance, because it will be difficult to prove that verbal assurance as compared to a signed document, if in case you want to claim that the confidentiality has been breached. So I think that's about it. It sums up things that I have wanted to share with you as far as intellectual property rights is concerned, mainly from the India standpoint. And again, open for questions. Malay, let's wrap it all up.
Yeah, so I'll select couple of those and we'll try to wrap up. So Aryan is asking, the company has to disclose the method or formula to IP registry when it comes to registration in trade secret.
As I said, trade secret, you don't have to make an application. Only when you don't make an application, it is considered as a trade secret. If you make, there is first of all, there is no registry for trade secret registration. And if you are disclosing your so-called trade secret outside of your organization, then it no longer meets the core definition of trade secret.
Right, right. So I think Anonymous is asking, is it possible to reveal the trade secret for the sake of preventing exploitation?
Again, once you disclose it, it cannot be called as trade secret, but yes, you can disclose it by filing appropriate application and seeking appropriate registration by form of, say, if you are eligible and you meet the patentability criteria, then you may apply as a patent and register it as a patent.
Right, right, absolutely, absolutely. So Dr. Dimple Rathod is asking, if we develop a novel compound in chemistry lab, then patent would be filed in the name of whom? So madam, it solely depends while the filing an application. So while filing an application, there are two major things that you need to cover. One is the applicant. Applicant is the owner of the patent, and there is the inventor, the name of inventor. So applicants hold the whole and sole responsibility of the patent, where inventors column are being, to give courtesy to your, maybe if the scholar is filing a patent, then it could, he or she could give courtesy to the, faculties or the lab people who help to achieve that specific patentable thing. So it depends while filing an application. You need to mention all those names who would like to own it. The name should be in the portion of the applicants, not the inventors. But inventors could be as long as possible. It's ideal to have limited people in the applicant portion. So it could lessen the burden of selling it, renewing it, many of the administrative process that happens once the grant is done and all.
Correct. Malay, to add to it, it is a lot of pharma companies do that. When they file a patent application, the scientists or doctors or innovators from their organization who have worked on it, they are recognized as inventors in the application, and the company retains the ownership right by being the applicant. We have also seen that in some cases when IT companies or mobile application developer companies, when they file patent applications, if there is a computer engineer or a lead developer who's worked on developing it, they recognize that individual or a group of individuals as inventors, so that they can also claim on their personal resume of having been involved in some invention.
Right, right, right. So considering time, I'll limit to the last question. to all those who are asking me to cover their question, I will request them that this mode of workshop, this mode of communication is a bit difficult than the physical one. That's why I won't be able to cover all the questions right now, but you can always send your questions on our email ID, which is ipr@geosec.edu.in. We'll be more than happy to answer your queries. And if we are not able to do that, I'll always pass to our expert to show some light on that.
Yeah,
So
happy
the
to
last
help.
question coming from our professor, वो बता रही हैं कि उन्होंने एक कोर्स डिजाइन किया था जिसमें साहित्यिक कृतियां के आधार पर विज्ञापन बनाने की बात थी, उसको कॉपीराइट में ले जा सकते हैं?
So yes, madam, if you think the model that you have prepared is unique, then of course you can file an application and secure registration for it. But provided it meets the criteria of IP registration, then yes, you can.
Right. Okay. There are two more questions कि कई लोग पूछ रहे हैं कि ये PPTs अगर उनके साथ शेयर होंगे कि नहीं. So definitely I'll talk to the expert and make sure we'll pass as much information as this जो PPT.
Sure, Malay, I'm happy to share this PPT with you and then leave it to you to decide how to share it with our attendees.
Perfect. So definitely we would like to pass that information to our participant. One more thing that I'm getting on my chat screen is whether this session is going to be uploaded on the YouTube. So yes, this is going to be uploaded soon. Already we are in line with a couple of sessions which is going on live with our within our Geosec YouTube channel, so you can always like it. So once we upload it, you will get a notification that Geosec uploaded this session. So thank you very much all. I hereby end this session, and we'll stay in touch. And regarding the certificate, we'll email your e-certificate via your registered email ID within 2 or 3 days. Thank you, Ayush. Once again, it was a very informative session. I am getting the chat is full of thank yous to the organization and you, of course, for providing.
Thank you, Malay, and thank you, Geosec, for this opportunity. I hope through this I have been able to share some knowledge and share some inputs and help address concerns or issues that our attendees have had.
Absolutely. Anyways, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
We'll stay in touch, and all the participants will get future event updates on their email IDs. Thank you, Ayush. Thank you, team.
Bye. Thanks, Malay.
Thank you. Goodbye.